What's going on, everybody? So in this video, we are going to be covering some major news when it comes to the SEC and Yuga Labs, as well as doing a deep dive into some NFT marketing strategies by some of the most interesting projects minting soon. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you want to see more videos like this. And let's go ahead and dive right in. So starting things off, market sentiment is looking pretty normal, similar to what it was just a couple days ago. Ethereum did drop a little bit under that 1.3, but for the most part, not too much anything crazy. I would say the market is kind of getting fearful according to the fear and greed index. There's definitely people leaving the space more than there are people joining the space. Right now, maybe it's not the best time to be a trader because most things that you buy kind of just keep falling down, but it is a great time to be a builder. So if you are a builder, definitely you want to keep going and make sure to check out the Parallax Genesis, where we actually do live courses all about project building. So check it out, link in the description if you want to learn more. Now, first piece of news that we're going to cover is going to be Yuga Labs is facing an SEC investigation. Now, although this is a catchy headline, understand that sometimes when you read headlines or when you read what people say on Twitter, a lot of times it's over exaggerated. A lot of times it's used to clickbait, and a lot of times people like me will put it in the thumbnail and then get you to click, right? So realistically, when we are looking at this, it's probably not as bad as people think, because you have to understand that who is behind Yuga Labs. You have like some of the biggest VCs in America who support this project, and then if they are under fire, then they probably have the connections and resources to mitigate this risk and figure it out, right? Innocent until proven guilty, and I suppose that's why the SEC has to do some research into it. But then it's like, how do we know what the context is? Are people really looking deep into it, or are they just kind of casually looking and having a conversation? We literally don't know the context. Depending on what happens over here will kind of set the tone for other projects, which I actually think is a good thing. I think that projects should think more clearly about how they communicate their NFTs. Are they saying that they are investments? Are they saying it's equity? Are they saying it's like a worthless collectible that you can just buy for fun? And all these things need to be more clear, because I feel like over the last bull run, there's been too many cash grabs, too many greedy founders just taking the money and disappearing. I remember like a year ago, people were like, oh my God, if you buy this token, it's passive income. You're gonna make $100 a day. And it's like, now these things are worth zero, right? But hey, I guess we'll just follow along to see how this goes. Even with that said, a lot of the Yuga Lab assets, they have been trading higher in volume, but I don't really see the floor price really shifting or like dropping because of this news. Maybe it dropped like just a bit, but it's not like a significant drop, right? People are just kind of fearful a little bit. People are selling, but at the same time, they're going to be buyers who buy these opportunities. And so I think there's going to be selling pressure and buying pressure. And I don't think there's much to worry about until there's like some real hard hitting news, not speculation of what people said or what they maybe said, right? Okay, next project we're going to be talking about is going to be the collaboration between Barbie and Boss Beauties. So this is quite an interesting collaboration where Barbie wants to get into the NFT space. Obviously, one of the biggest IPs and toy manufacturers in the world. So it's quite interesting, right? Because Boss Beauties, they advertise themselves as, empowering girls and women in technology, leadership, and creativity, which is, a cool movement, right? Because I can definitely see a lot of people getting behind this if they're trying to support that female movement. Kind of makes sense for Barbie to like go into a collaboration with them. I think in the future, we're going to see more Web2 brands do a collaboration with a Web3 brand just to taste the waters, right? So like we had Kith collaborate with Invisible Friends, and then Kith brought in BMW to collaborate with Invisible Friends as well. So I think this is just another example of, Web2 going to Web3. Now, the next thing we are going to be talking about is going to be a project that recently launched. It's called Kitaro, which is a kind of like an anime project. When I was looking on their website, no offense to anyone who holds and stuff like that, it kind of seemed similar to like what other people have promised before. Why are people buying this? Why is it trading so much? Why is there so much volume? So if we look at OpenSea right now, floor price 0.2, not too bad for a 777 collection. Storytelling NFTs with a twist. What does that mean? Don't know. Augmented reality coloring book. I'm not sure if the NFT market will find that exciting when it comes to speculation. So it's not too much like going on in terms of like utility. The art itself is kind of cool. It definitely takes inspiration from other studios in the past, not just in Web3 but Web2. But what was weird for me was that just some of the ways they present the roadmap. It's like funds allocated to support community, 50% of all net revenue from books and merch sales. I think that's a red flag for me, because they're not saying 50% of funds from mint. They're saying 50% funded from all net revenue from books and merch sales. So how much books and merch sales have they done? It doesn't make sense, because like manga itself has a very low profit margin, right? If you're giving 50% of your revenue, and then let's say the industry standard for manga, I don't know, 10-20%. If you're only making 10-20% profit, but you're giving 50% revenue, you're losing money on every book and putting it into your treasury. So the math doesn't work out. So that's why it's kind of a red flag. Maybe we're just getting too deep into the wording. Maybe they mean profit, which would be fine. But then at the same time, it's like distributed funds, right? So like my only issue is that they're not really being clear on what universe they're building, and then this money, can it even sustain? If they're talking about profit, right, then can you build something with this? Personally, I feel like, you know, a lot of people are taking profits off of Renga and they're kind of moving into other anime projects, and we definitely have seen that in the past. I mean, if we look at Isekai Meta, for example, like I thought the Isekai Meta art was pretty cool, the website was pretty cool, but then in the end, it's like getting people to hold, it's not easy. I would imagine that Kitaro would also face a similar challenge as well. Maybe they have ways to solve it, but based on what they're putting on their website and Twitter and stuff like that, I don't think they have a better solution. So all right, since we're on the anime tip, let's go ahead and talk about some different projects that are coming up in the anime space. The first one, obviously, that we talked about before is Val. We've done an interview with founder of Val, Alex. For them, they do have this project coming up. They do have an application process, which seems like it's going well because a lot of people do want to get into this project. The thing I'm learning from this is, number one, they focus on the gaming NFT niche, which I don't think anyone has truly conquered. So it's kind of like a land grab, essentially, for these gaming NFT projects. I can see every day, probably they're thinking like, hey, we just need to onboard 3 new people, 4 new people, 5 new people every single day, and over time that will stack. So I kind of see them, you know, especially when they're putting out like these documentary style videos of like the team and stuff to show more credibility of who they are. I would say they're probably going to go in a route like similar to like what 100 Thieves is doing, FaZe Clan. Although they don't own a esports team, I can see them doing that in the future. I can see them buying one. It kind of makes sense, right? It's targeting a specific gaming niche that is already huge, it already exists, and these people are more savvy to NFTs. So that's a project that I'm looking out for. The next project we're going to talk about is going to be Juuni. Now, Juuni is actually interesting because for them, what they focus on is quality art. And, you know, obviously art is subjective. What I see them trying to do based on what they're putting on their Twitter and Discord is that they're trying to connect artists who want to make a living doing art, doing commission art, trying to learn more about the space, become a better artist. And they're trying to connect those people with collectors, people that want to help artists, that people who have the funds to, you know, buy commission art and commission different people and stuff like that. And who knows, maybe there's going to be future opportunities for these people to work together, right? And so I definitely see them also targeting a niche as well, that artist niche, because if you go on Twitter, these artists kind of just like exist in their own realm, but there's no NFT that brings them all together. Definitely can see Juuni being that project that puts them together. And I see also on their Discord as well, they always do these like drawing sessions. So like an artist will like just share their screen and draw their art, and people can watch and learn from what they're doing. For me, I kind of look at, does this project solve a problem? Does it target a niche that already exists and just gathers people together? That's going to be pretty important for projects moving forward, especially during a bear market where you can't just like mint 10,000 and everything will sell just because it will sell. Like you have to actually have ideal customer profile, which is interesting for me to observe. Next project we're going to talk about is Ether. Now, Ether is actually, from a marketing perspective, has a different kind of marketing strategy where they're more secretive on what they're doing. You don't even know what niche they're targeting quite yet. Kind of like the art itself is the advertisement, and it's the thing that gets people on the top of the funnel, gets them interested. And then if you like this kind of like shonen art, meaning anime for boys, essentially, right? Like action kind of thing. And then from there, everyone's like, oh my God, it's going to be so good. What I see this project doing is that they have 2 co-founders. V is the main artist, right? The strategy for V, I can see that it's all about showing how much high effort he puts into this project, putting out tweets saying that how long it took him to do the thing, how long he's been working on this, you know, using all his personal money to like do this, right? So it gives the air of like this guy's trying and gives people confidence that he's here to stay. The other co-founder, Crypto Valley, I mean, it's just like sharing your vision of like what's going on, and they're just trying to communicate that this is something that is going to be of quality, even though you don't necessarily know what it's going to be. So it's like kind of like trust, right? The mint probably is coming up. They are personally inviting people by sending them a message on Twitter and saying like, hey, do you want an invitation to Ether? I'm not sure if this is going to be the whitelist or if it's going to be like an invite to Discord. But yeah, so what happens is like you give this to somebody, you send them a Twitter message, you send this little animation, that person will be excited, they post it on Twitter, and then that person basically gives you free advertising, and then it creates more of that feeling of demand. So it's like demand increases, then you cut supply, then you make it scarce. It's similar to diamonds. Diamonds do the exact same thing. It's like they have a bunch of demand, but then they have to make it desirable with advertisements and stuff like that, and then they cut supply, which increases demand even more, and then perceived value of that asset. It's all about perceived value at the end of the day, right? How strong is the community? What people think is real? Definitely an interesting marketing lesson that I want to share with you guys and just observing, right? And so KPR is the last one that we're gonna talk about today. Like I said last time, KPR has like this sick website. You could definitely tell that they use the website as a method to say, hey, we are high quality, hey, we are here to stay, because what I understand is that they purposely left it mysterious, so you don't actually know what they're building, whether it's a game, are they going to buy an esports team, are they going to do a collaboration with a Valorant team. And if you go on their Twitter page, it's like keep, protect, reimagine, and then it's just like assets, right? So assets of like what the PFP is going to look like, and then the land that they post, the exact same asset as they post on their website. So it's kind of like you create it for the website, then you post it on Twitter. And so, you know, one thing I find interesting is that when we look at Val and Juuni compared to KPR and Ether, I think they're two different camps. For Val and Juuni, it's like they're saying like, hey, this is our ideal customer profile. This is the type of people we want in our community. There's an application process to get into the community, and then we're just gonna build this community around the people that fit us. So for Val, they're like, this is the gaming kind of space, right? So they'll do events with gaming. Juuni, it's more of the art kind of space, so they'll do events or like live streams of artists and people helping each other when it comes to education. So it's not gonna build as much hype. People aren't gonna be like, oh my god, I need this. There's less hype because you know what there is to expect. So when people look at this and they see an ad, or they see, not an ad, but like they see like content on Twitter, they're gonna make the decision yes or no. If it's yes, it's really yes, because they're like, this is just for me. But if it's no, then it's no, right? Where I see KPR and Ether, what they're doing is they're not really disqualifying people. That leads to more hype, more people liking, more people retweeting. But I wonder, are these the right people that should buy your project? Who is your project for? And it's not very clear. And so you're just kind of saying like, hey, I want everyone to buy. I want as much volume as possible. And then probably I want to put the mint price as high as possible. The market will accept. I would just say if you go the hype route, one thing I would be careful of is we look at other projects in the past. Sometimes when you do cryptic messaging, it works. Everyone likes it. Everyone retweets. Everybody buys. And then everyone will be like, what did I just buy? And then there's all this FUD, that stuff that could potentially happen. So if you tell people what to expect, they're not going to get mad at you after they buy it, and they're not going to FUD you. And it's a stronger community. If you use hype and everything like that, then you're kind of like glass cannon essentially, right? Where it can go really well or it could really fall apart. Now, I'm not saying these projects are going to fall apart because maybe they have plans and stuff like that, but it's all about pre-qualifying people before they buy. If people buy and you didn't tell them what they were to expect, then you cannot get mad at them for FUDing you if that happens, right? And by the way, you know, one of the things I do help people with is actually advising them and helping them find the right marketing strategy, and also helping them launch. So if you are building a project and you just need a little help, a little direction, maybe you need some services, make sure to check out our advisory, plxlabs.co. Link is also in the description, where we can talk about what your project is and see how we might be able to help. Whether you are a Web 2 company or Web 3 native, let's have a conversation to see what we can do. So with that said, that is everything we got to cover for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you want to see more videos like this. And I will see you in the next one.